This video is sponsored by Surfshark, the best VPN on the market. Surfshark is an app or browser extension that allows you to change your location to access websites in other countries and keep you safe from hackers. For example, we here in Ireland can access other countries' Netflix libraries, streaming services such as DAZN in Spain for those all-important Premier League games. Surfshark keeps you safe and private by protecting everything you do online. When your device connects to the internet, all that information is, in a way, blurred out. Surfshark is particularly useful for keeping you safe if you use public Wi-Fi, such as a college or a cafe. Surfshark allows you to use one subscription on unlimited devices, meaning that you can even share an account with friends and family. On top of this, Surfshark offers a 30-day money-back guarantee, so if you don't like it, you can even get your money back. Our sign-up offer gives you Surfshark VPN for just over €2 per month and up to 4 months free. Why not scan the QR code on screen or use the link in the description to take advantage of this offer. What is up, my friends? How are we? It is a brand new week here on Anfield Agenda and you are very welcome along. As we know, the Reds are back in action on Wednesday night, so not too long to wait now. It is my favourite time when we've got these 2 games a week. I do love it. Obviously, the manager and the sports science team would like the lads to have a little bit longer between games, but look, as fans, we're greedy, aren't we? And I'm very much looking forward to the visit of Atletico Madrid. So tonight we're going to talk about how the team may line up. We're going to have a little look to the future and ask, are Liverpool going for homegrown quota players? It looks like we are. More on that in a while. We'll talk about the referee who's going to be in charge of the game as well. An Italian referee will be taking charge, and then we'll look ahead to the Merseyside derby coming up at the weekend as well. So yeah, appreciate you all back in. I have to say, I'm really excited. First Champions League game of the season. It just hits different, doesn't it? Under the lights at Anfield. So very much looking forward to it. Yes, Diego Simeone's Atletico aren't the most expansive, free-flowing side to play, but they have their own injury concerns coming into this one, and I don't know, I get the feeling this could be the game where we see Liverpool really click, put it all together and put in a confident result, or a confident performance, with a positive result. We're also going to give you some links to Ronald Araujo, which have been doing the rounds tonight, which very much caught me off guard. Steve Nicol, well, he's been moaning again. No real surprises there. We'll tell you who and what he's unhappy with so far, who he thinks should be dropped. And a few other bits and pieces, including, what's this one that's just come into me? Oh yes, a little bit from Bent Bochak on Florian Wirtz as well. Right, let's get cracking. So, Christine van der Merwe, how are we? Good evening to you as well, mate. Appreciate you in. There was a comment from Colin I wanted to read out. Colin said, "Hey Craig, enjoy your content and straight talk. Hope Liverpool perform better on Wednesday night. International matches seem to take some energy from the players." I've been thinking quite a lot, Colin, about that performance against Burnley. And was it a poor performance from us? Was it a good defensive performance from Burnley? Or was it a mixture of both? And ultimately, mate, I just feel like we are scaring teams. And I expect Everton to come to Anfield with a kind of similar mindset and philosophy that Arsenal did when they came, and of course that Burnley had a Turf Moor, and that is to just give us nothing, to make it hard for us to find space, maybe to give us the wide areas. And yeah, I don't think it's going to be an expansive open Merseyside derby on Saturday. But for the game on Wednesday, like I said, a little bit different. Champions League in the new format does lean itself towards scoring goals, having more attacking games in the competition. And I wonder, will Simeone's side come and have a go? Because every result really does matter now in that competition. So, yeah, I'm optimistic on it. And I'm expecting Liverpool to put in a good performance. I could be digging myself a hole here. I've been going around for the last 24 hours super confident about this game. And I can't really give you a logical reason for it. I just have something in my mind that this will suit the players. The big occasion with Isak maybe getting his debut. Wirtz back in familiar territory in the Champions League under the lights at Anfield. I could just expect a better performance. So, yeah, let me know how your guys are feeling ahead of it. Where to start then tonight? Let's have a little laugh at Ruben Amorim. Sure, while we're here, we might as well kick off with a bit of fun at the Manchester United manager. So, Ruben Amorim has the worst win percentage of any permanent Manchester United manager since the Second World War. That is how bad his start to his tenure at Manchester United has been. He has a win percentage, ladies and gentlemen, at one of the biggest football clubs in the world of 36.17%. Just over 1/3 of his games. Then it was McGuinness, 36.78, to take you through some names that we'll probably realise from this era of Manchester United. Louis van Gaal, as an example, he was sacked and had a win percentage of 52.43%. David Moyes, he was sacked with a win percentage of 52.94%. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, 54.17%. Erik ten Hag, 54.69%. Jose Mourinho was just below 60% at 58.33%. And Alex Ferguson just a bit higher there with 59.67%. So it is a mess at the minute for Manchester United, and I'm here for every single second of it. Right, we'll give you a fitness update in a moment from Diego Simeone ahead of the game and what players he has concerns about. But before we get into that, David, how are we, sir? Wanted to make sure I didn't miss it today because I don't know, I've been on a bad streak lately, David. I've missed some of your comments, so nice to see you in as well, bro. And good evening to you and our community. Right, so fitness update. LFC Transfer Room posted this update giving quotes from Diego Simeone ahead of the game on Wednesday. And he said, Julian Alvarez, Lenormand, Hanko and Nico Gonzalez are all doubts for the game against us on Wednesday evening. He said, we haven't spoken with the doctor yet, but in general, they are knocks and discomforts. Tomorrow, we'll see. So, you know, take into account their very dodgy start to the season. I think they've had 1 win, 2 draws and 1 loss so far in La Liga. And I think we're getting them at the right time. So I'm really looking forward to this game and I'm optimistic on it. Like I said, I can see Liverpool putting a few past Atletico. And yes, I know I'll be jinxed. If we don't win, it'll be my fault. I'll take it on the chin this time. One of my many chins that I have. Right, what else we got? Gary Neville has a better record than Amarim. It's nuts, isn't it? And like, every day I say, look, it's the Liverpool channel, Craig. No more Manchester United jokes or jabs. But you just keep seeing these stats and you're just, wow, how bad is that club these days? It is truly shocking. Right, so while we're sticking with the Champions League, let's give you an update on the referee. Anfield Buzz, credit them for this post, said the Italian referee Maurizio Mariani will officiate the game on Wednesday between Atletico Madrid and Liverpool. So yes, I don't know who he is. Don't know if he's any good or not, but it is the name of the official, so we will have an Italian man in the middle. Let me know your thoughts on that one. One Italian that we won't have, though, is Federico Chiesa, of course, because he isn't included in Liverpool's Champions League squad, so there won't be a place even on the bench for him in this one. Neville said, latest on Baleba. Nothing that I know of. You know, United were the club that I thought Neville was most likely pushing for him in the window, but yeah, nothing that I can see on him. Let's talk about players who are linked to us though, and that's a treble of players. So are Liverpool looking to go down the homegrown route? Well, yes, according to reports today. So I'm going to tell you what that exactly means. So this piece here, which I believe came from, I want to give credit to it, Anfield Watch. I want to give credit to our friends at Anfield Watch. So this article came from Anfield Watch, and it says, or part of it says, the first of the 3 that Liverpool are looking to bring in to beef up our homegrown quota is Mark Gay, whom Liverpool hope to sign next summer on a free transfer from Crystal Palace, which could be wrapped up midway through the season in a pre-agreement. Nothing strange there. But goes on to speak about another 2 players that would beef up the homegrown quota. His young Eagles teammate Adam Wharton will follow him to Merseyside, according to this report, building more of an English presence in the team, 2 of the international boss Thomas Tuchel's best assets. And that is an important factor here. We know that Liverpool have to have X amount of homegrown players, but if you can have, well, stalwarts of the national team in there as well, or, you know, very pivotal, important players, and you've got the best of British, basically, and then you've got the best talent from around the world, I can see the direction we're looking to go in. And they said, finally, the rumoured successor to Mohamed Salah is Bayern Munich's right winger Michael Olise, 23-year-old Frenchman who has 3 seasons of Premier League experience, also having played for Palace. His time at the Eagles has meant that he too is now considered a homegrown asset. So Wharton, Gay and Olise, according to Anfield Watch, are the three worth keeping an eye on for Liverpool's future business as they look to beef up some of the homegrown quota. So yeah, thoughts on that one? Obviously, homegrown is going to be the key word in this conversation because we do need to beef that up a little bit. We've lost some players, the likes of Harvey Elliott, haven't moved on. But if we could bring in Mark A, which let's be honest, we're pretty confident of. Wharton, look, that's gonna be an expensive one. I'd say you're talking about 60 million quid there. And then Michael Elise, the long-term Salah successor. Look, we've had this conversation a few times, and to me it makes sense. Nevlin said, Indy post Liverpool in for Baleba in January. Not anything I know about, David. Why do I keep calling you David, Nevlin? My apologies. Not anything I know about, mate. But look, that doesn't mean anything other than I don't know about it. It'll be interesting. It kind of contradicts the look for the homegrown. And what I would say is, I wouldn't even be expecting that to be a cut price deal. So usually when we're talking about Liverpool looking for a homegrown player, we think, yeah, it's going to be more expensive, right? About 60 odd million for Wharton. But I don't think Baleba is going to be any cheaper. Buying from Brighton has proved expensive for a lot of clubs. Obviously, we knew McAllister had that release clause, and unless there's a clause that we don't know about for Baleba, I'd be very surprised. You know, if you're looking to non-homegrown players, it's usually because you think there's better value to be had there, or maybe they're just a better fit for the way you want to play. It'll be interesting to see. I'm going to try to keep digging on it, Evelyn, and see what I can find out. But that's where I'm at with the Baleba stuff. I personally just don't know anything on it. Gay, Wharton and Elise would make us the best in Europe, said Maldeni. I agree. You know, and look, we are thinking longer term here. Age profile of the squad has been very nicely refreshed in recent times, but looking to that future, I do think the Elise links make loads of sense. We've discussed them over a few days. The Adam Wharton one, look, I personally don't know much about Liverpool's interest in Adam Wharton. I know who the player is, obviously came from Blackburn to Palace, has some injury concerns that, you know, I'd like to see us get a little look at and see if he can get past these, but all three of those names make sense to me. You know, Michael Elise, Adam Wharton, Mark Gay. For various reasons, I can see a world where they're all possible. Paolo said, Mac is off to Madrid, I bet, in a few, but he's at least got a hefty sum for the guy this time around. I know there's a narrative that people assume Mac is just going to run off to Madrid. Now, look, I don't know, mate, Paolo, if you're right or wrong. Who knows? But I was also just thinking about our midfield, right? I love Alexis McAllister, but in the way that we utilise him, we could probably find another competitive midfielder if in the future he does go. Now, let's not be wishing him away because Macca has some unfinished business here to do with us, but it's one of those, you know, not much we can do about with his fans. Let's see what happens. I'm sure Liverpool won't be in any rush to get rid of Alexis McAllister, and I'm not quite sure if Madrid are going to play the waiting game and try to get a cut price deal from down the line. But either way, right now, Alexis is a Liverpool player and let's enjoy him. Liverpool won't be going for Baleba, said A Barker 87. I don't think so either. Look, he's good enough. Let me say that about Baleba. But some of the price tags I've seen mentioned for him are just through the roof. Now, while we're talking about Anfield Watch, let's give Bench Bochak a shout out here. He said Florian Wirtz has made the most shock-creating actions for Liverpool in the Premier League this season. Only 3 players have recorded more. And the reason that I bring this up is I want to tie it together with something Steve Nicol has been, well, he only moans, doesn't he? I know that's ironic coming from me. I love a good moan as well. But Steve Nicol, once again, is proving that he's too old school when it comes to looking at football players. And yes, the eye test on a pitch is important, but I think there's more to it. So let me read out what he's had to say, and we'll see if he's just moaning for the sake of it. So, he said that Arne Slot should consider benching Florian Wirtz. This is what he said. So Nicol has been underwhelmed by what he's seen from the 22-year-old so far and has called for Arne Slot to consider redeploying him on the left flank or even dropping him altogether. The ex-Liverpool defender said on ESPN FC, if we're going to talk about one player who's disappointed the most, I think we'd have to say if every player was brought in to break down a game, this was it today. That, I'm afraid, is Florian Wirtz's job. That's why he was brought in to do. Today, again, he couldn't do it, and he hasn't done it since he's come to the club now. The fact that Liverpool win again probably means that Arne Slot can keep pushing Florian Wirtz in the starting 11 and keep giving him time, hoping that his true form is going to come out. There hasn't been a point where you have to bench him. You could try and play him on the left. There has to come a point where Arne Slot has to decide whether Florian Wirtz has to sit on the bench. If that's best for the team, then again, that's why Slot gets paid the big bucks. You have to make tough decisions regardless of who you paid £160 million for and not when they're not producing. That means you have to make a decision, and that can't be that far away, quite honestly. Now, I don't agree. I don't agree at all with Steve Nicol, and here's why I disagree. There's no denying that Florian Wirtz hasn't exactly come in and lit up the Premier League with goals and assists yet. But, again, look at what Benz is saying. Look at the chances created. And if you watch him and watch his performances since he's come into Liverpool and the teams that we've played against, I think I'm seeing enough progression in Florian Wirtz week after week to justify keep playing him and let him play his way into the league. I don't want him dropped. I don't think he deserves to be dropped because anybody would have struggled to create something against that Burnley team. If we had wingers and we were playing in balls to a 6'6" centre forward, maybe we could have found a way to break through. Maybe there was going to be a little ricochet in the box, maybe a worldie from outside or something like that. But it was very difficult because it was very condensed. And if you look at it back, there was some good analysis on Match of the Day too. They gave Liverpool the wide areas. And I kept screaming during the game with you guys here on the watch along to say, width, we need more width. And we did, because Burnley were giving us those areas. But we wasted possession in those areas because of the crosses that we were playing in were aimless. Many of you guys said the right thing. We should have been looking to get to the byline, pull balls back across the 6-yard box and try to create something else that way. So there is a little bit of sense in what Steve Nicol said. But as always, I think he's over-dramatised it. And I don't think Wirtz has been anywhere near as bad. And what gets me most about Nicol is he's a former Liverpool player, a former Liverpool great. But he seems to take every opportunity to stick the boot in where possible. And I don't understand the mindset of that. As we all know, as Liverpool fans, there is enough people out there trying to undermine Liverpool's transfer business and Florian Wirtz from the outside. Now, I get Steve Nicol's a pundit with ESPN, but let's be honest, he's not the only one out there that hasn't performed as well as we would have wanted so far this season. And just putting more scrutiny on him, I don't like it from a former Liverpool player. So I wish he'd just give it a minute, because we could talk about Mohamed Salah. We could talk about Cody Gakpo. We could talk about other Liverpool players who perhaps haven't had the flying start to the season that we all would have hoped for. So for me, I disagree with Stevie Nicol on it. But I want to ask, are you guys worried at all about the start that Wirtz has had? So, 1 second. Right. Are you worried about the start Wirtz has had? Yes or no? It's interesting because, like I said, everybody from the outside wants him to fail. Everybody. Arsenal fans, United fans, City fans, they all want him to fail. And that's normal. I understand that. But we don't need to start this process from within. We don't need to start undermining him, because surely at this point, we remember that some players, yes, come in, hit the ground running. They get used to the league straight away. But the Premier League has been littered with season after season of players who take a while to settle in. Look at Dominic Szoboszlai. I think he's a really good example here. There was times in his first season where we were like, oh, is he there? We're not seeing the same one we've seen at Leipzig. But now if you ask any Liverpool fan this season, I think most of them would say that Dominic Szoboszlai has been our most valuable player, our most indispensable player. But it took him a little bit of time to get up to the levels, to keep up his high energy performances for 90 minutes in the Premier League. That took some getting used to. And I think the same applies for Wirtz. Matteo said, will people chill on Flo? As far as I'm concerned, you can't judge him till the knockout to the Champions League. He will be fine. I agree. I look, would have liked a goal or an assist or two, like any player coming in. Can't argue about that, Matteo. But I'm also with you on this. Time, chill, relax. We're winning games of football. You know, if we were losing games of football and we were slipping down the league table, or, you know, we weren't where we wanted to be, then maybe the pressure mounts. But when you're winning, surely this is exactly the time to be letting this grind itself out as you're picking up these results come hell or high water. Haley said, Flo will love that he's learning a new league, the pace, new team. He's doing great. Robbo took 7 months before we saw him much, said Boeing Zibidi. Yeah, really good point, mate. I remember that myself. Yeah, and I think there were other players as well who Jurgen took months before he'd really start to trust in. So yes, there's no denying Florian Wirtz came in with a big reputation and a big price tag. But this narrative just feels like it's over the top for some people with Flo. Christina said, Flo will never settle in and get used to how the team is playing if we drop him. Give him time to rest and learn. Even Mo said it takes time. Exactly. Spot on. And it will. And I've got no doubts. And do you know what, Christina and everybody else? I've seen progression watching him play. And, you know, we spoke about the first couple of games. He was getting caught in possession, taking too long on the ball. Wasn't used to the speed of the league. Maybe not even used to the physicality of the league. But I've seen quickness in his game improving. I've seen him being able to find and take up positions and pockets of space better over the last few games. So honestly, I think he's not too far away from getting to where we want to be. Small margins at top level sport, and I really do feel like he's not too far away. There was actually a good piece last night around Mohamed Salah as well on Match of the Day too, and they were talking about him doing some of the right things, but it's that last bit that just isn't happening. And again, I think there's some sense to that. It's just, I guess, with Liverpool looking so all-conquering with the transfer business we've done, being the defending champions, and that weight of expectation, people are going to try and undermine it because, of course, nobody wants us to walk away with a league title again, or nobody wants it to be a procession. Everybody wants that Arsenal-Liverpool title race or Manchester City to be back in. And it feels like sometimes these people are almost wishing failure on us. Stargirl said, weirdly, I'm more worried about Manchester City than Arsenal. They haven't been great, but they are winners and have Pep. I think it's going to be between us and them. I've been very clear on my side, Stargirl, all summer, that I genuinely do think it's us and Arsenal. I don't think Manchester City are going to be able to hit the levels required. You know, I think they're a team, Pep's building another team there, and yes, Rodri's back in, but still inconsistent performances. Like, they've dropped 6 points already this season, and we're only, 4 games in. They've dropped half of their points. So yes, they beat Manchester United, but that was a poor Manchester United as well. Let's be honest, like, that was a really shit Ruben Amorim Manchester United. So yeah, I don't believe that they're back or they're anywhere near as good as they once were. We know Haaland scores in bunches. He does that. He's a very good centre forward, but again, just for me, mate, I feel it's still us and Arsenal. But again, I think Arsenal's own mentality of not conceding or not losing is what will ultimately see them fall away again. Mike, how are we? Oh, sorry, dude, I've so forgot about the GIF, man. I'm awful. Sorry. Connor's probably watching this back, Mike, tomorrow when he's clipping it. I will get Connor to make the GIF of the logo for you, dude. Sorry, I've just had so many things on, but that doesn't excuse it, Mike. You did reach out to me, mate, and I forgot. Apologies, sir. Keane said, City look nowhere near it this season so far. I agree. They just don't, mate. They don't even look like they've got the right balance to me in the squad. And do you know what? They've absolutely shafted James Trafford. There's already talk that Trafford might go out on loan in January. And remember, they stopped Newcastle getting him as well, which makes it funny, by triggering their option to buy him back. And now they've brought in Gianluigi Donnarumma, and there's already talk that Trafford could be going out on loan to try and keep up his England chances. Zach, how are we, Zach? So I don't mind rivals hating on Wirtz. We're the same with Rice, Caicedo, etc. We know he's going to come good, and when he does, it'll be a long few years for those in the league. Yeah, you're right, Zach. It is their job to try to undermine us. That's why I'm saying about the situation with Steve Nicol. I don't think we should be looking to do it from inside, and Steve Nicol being a former player, I wish he'd just be a little bit more understanding, supportive, upbeat. Any of those words? Camel Deep, how are we, dude? Appreciate you with us. 10 months as a member, sir. Thank you. Said Isak will help. Wirtz will be scary when it happens. Yep. I can't wait, mate. Honestly, I can't wait till we see all of these guys out there together. Or even the options Ireland is going to be able to have from the bench. You know, we know the six forwards that we have. You don't need me to list them off, but imagine any combination of those coming off the bench. It really does give us a chance to change things up this season. And Wednesday should be hopefully Isak night, where we finally get to see him on the pitch doing something in a Liverpool shirt. So I'm buzzing for it, and it will be scary when it happens. You're right. To be fair, Trafford was a disaster in the City Spurs game. But why bring him in then, Paolo? You know, they went and spent £36 million on him, something like that. Why? I could have told Pep Guardiola James Trafford wasn't good enough. I could have told Pep Guardiola he wasn't going to play the game the way he wanted to be played. It just felt like a really weird signing. Donnarumma, I get. You know, Donnarumma brings in experience. And yes, he might not be Ederson with the ball at his feet, but he's a commanding goalkeeper, he's a good shot stopper, and we know what he can do. So that one makes absolute sense. I can see why they brought him in. No idea, though, with the James Trafford signing. It just feels like a strange one. It really feels strange. Doesn't make any sense to me why he went back to City. David Newell said, Nick Vultmad is the love child of Peter Crouch and Rudy Voller. Philly Reds, how are we? Hey Craig, a warning to fellow American Liverpool fans. My order from Liverpool arrived with €105.40 additional shipping charge because of Trump's tariffs. Do you know what? Unfortunately, Philly Reds, a few of your fellow men and women from America have been messaging with similar concerns. It is really shitty. I feel for you guys because we have a similar thing with the UK on certain aspects, but with the Liverpool stuff, we don't have to pay that import because I think they have an Irish business or an Irish arm of it. But yeah, so many people, man, have been saying to me that they've been getting their stuff from Liverpool, you know, the new jerseys, and like you said, have that hefty additional charge on top of it. But this is why, for me, and I'm not trying to disrespect America here, but I'm going to be honest and say, when Trump starts throwing around the words tariffs and people keep getting sold this vision of it making America a shit ton of money, well, no, it's costing Americans a shit ton of money. It might make the government some more money in taxes and fees, but you, sir, and many other Americans are now having to pay extra money for the same things. So I was always very confused by this tariffs. It just confuses me. I don't understand how people bought into it. You know, not to get into politics, you know, we're only bringing it up because you're talking about the charges. I've never understood it. It seems like it was pretty clear who's going to pay for these tariffs, and it wasn't going to be the selling countries. It was going to be the consumers and the countries that are buying them. And I really do feel for you guys because football jerseys and stuff is expensive enough. Stargirl said, off topic, I got a nasty surprise in Kinsale earlier. I saw the biggest rat ever when I was crossing the road. Even my dad jumped. Do I have any phobias? Heights. I'm really, really scared of heights. You know, I can't stand on the edge of a building and look over. I feel like I want to jump. So heights and a few other bits and pieces, but yeah, I don't like being in confined spaces. That freaks me out. 50 Ping Skiller said it cost me an extra $105 in New York. Wow. That's like the price of the shirt all over again. That's crazy. I really do feel for you guys because, you know, you want to do the right thing. You want to buy official merchandise. You want to buy it through the club channels. You want to support the football club. But could anybody blame people in this scenario for going, you know, outsourcing it, shall we say? Nobody wants to have to pay that because a football shirt's dear enough. I know over here in Ireland, an adult Liverpool stadium shirt's €100 without any badges or name or anything like that. So I'm imagining it's probably similar in the States, something about $110, $100, something like that. Wow. Not great. I'm sorry it's happening to so many people in the States. Shane said, City doing what they always do, buying players to give depth and stop others getting those players. Same with Grealish, isn't a Pep style player. Yep. Grealish was spot on. Never understood that one. Didn't look like a Pep Guardiola type player. Didn't look like a style of Manchester City play. Yeah, I'm 100% with you. The real Johnny Sin said, Craig, have you heard Julian Alvarez won't be available to play against us? Well, we were talking at the start of the stream about the players that Atleti do have doubts around. Julian Alvarez, Lenormand, Hanko, and Nico Gonzalez are all doubts. Simeone said, we haven't spoken to the doctors yet, but in general, they are knocks and discomforts. Tomorrow, we'll see. So he went off, I think, at half-time in their last game. Has anybody seen Ugo Ekitike's Instagram? And the reading the book on how to face a low block. He seems to have a good sense of humour, Hugo. Where's this Isak falling out with slot nonsense? I don't know where this conversation even come from in the chat. There's no fallout between Isak and Slot. I don't know who's trying to come up with that nonsense. Right, so the Opta analysts have been crunching the numbers again, and Liverpool's percentage prediction to win the Premier League after week 4 is now 52.93%. So 4 games in, the Reds have a 52.93% chance of winning the Premier League after the first 4 games. Arsenal are next closest with a percentage chance of 25.78%. But, long way to go in the season yet. Those lads are up to know what they're talking about. Yeah, they do. If the numbers are in our favour, geniuses. If they ever go against us, absolute frauds, mate. A lot of them. This is where I throw on my I'm a massive hypocrite hat, definitely. Right, let's keep going. Nasir said, Craig, do you think if Jota was still alive, do you think we would have signed Ekitike and Isak? I really don't know. I don't. Probably would have kept pushing for Isak, would be my guess. Because we know that Arna had huge faith in Diogo Jota. You've seen it last season, even when he wasn't fully fit. Arna really did rate him highly as a player. So at a guess, mate, I'd say maybe we would have kept pushing for Isak. Maybe tried to go a bit closer. But with Ekitike, well, he could have actually ended up at Newcastle potentially in that scenario. David said, buy the fake ones just as good. People can't afford them, won't be ripped off. Blame them, especially when you have kids. Who wants to be said, have to buy fakes from Thailand. But in fairness, very good. Yeah, look, I understand it, David. I wouldn't agree with you on the same quality. Being really honest about it, they aren't. But they can be very good, like you've said. Much more pocket friendly. And like you said, mate, nobody wants to have to do that. But the prices are... they're ludicrous. I agree, David. It's very, very expensive to kit anybody out in football stuff these days. So absolutely agree with you on that one. Hugo rejected Newcastle, didn't he? Yes, but if we were there waiting, and that was why. Like, he knew that Liverpool were interested. So I guess maybe in some parallel universe, there would have been a world where he could have been a Newcastle player. Because they certainly, I think 2 or 3 different transfer windows they were trying for him. Dave said I won't buy fakes. I won't either, Dave. Not for myself. It's mainly a sizing thing, to be honest. Being a chunky butt, it's more difficult to get ones that feel in any way decent. But I'm going to Turkey next month, and I'd be an absolute liar if I told you that when I'm over in Turkey, I probably won't get my son a few bits and pieces. But for myself, yeah, I'd always try to make sure I get the real ones. Craig, I fancy your tattoos. Mind I ask what they mean? They don't really mean anything, to be honest, mate. I've got the 2 times that my kids were born on my wrist, but apart from that and the date I got married in Roman numerals, the rest of them don't really mean anything. I'd love to say that they have some story about my life or something. I've one on my leg that's related to autism on my son, but apart from that, I just sit down and say to the tattoo guy, you know what style I like, crack on, mate. And there was no real rhyme or reason. Now my wife's, on the other hand, she's got a really cool sleeve full of cartoon characters and stuff from her childhood, which is far better than mine. Where in Turkey are you going? To Sarıgörm, which is kind of Dalian kind of area. Beautiful. Been there a few times. Really, really nice. Oh, actually, what do we think about the new international break day? That was something that I was really happy about earlier on. So, anything Liverpool posted to say, official, FIFA have confirmed that starting from next season, the international break in September and October will be combined into a single break from September 21st to October 6th. This is common sense. So I said to you guys, I never understood the rationale behind starting the league, having 2 weeks worth of games, and then another international break. And then back another 2 weeks, then another international break, then back another 2 weeks, then another international break. It made no sense to me. Now, I still would have liked to have seen all of the three of them put into 1 month, maybe at the start of the season, but at least this is some type of common sense. So there's only going to be one international break now in September, October, and it'll be a little bit longer, but not too much. But it is some good common sense, and it'd be good for player welfare as well, I'm sure. So thankfully, some positive news on that front, because yeah, this is silly. You know, we've another one coming up in a few weeks, and then another one again. So from next season, 21st of September to the 6th of October will be the international break window for those 2 months. Brad Larkin, how are we, sir? 7 months with us as a member, thank you. How am I feeling about Everton it's Saturday? Confident, yeah. Look, I hate 12:30 kickoffs. I hate them for various reasons. It messes up my sleep schedule, and I don't think it makes for good games of football that early. But the biggest concern I had was the preview for the Atletico game that I recorded earlier on. I was trying to think about the left back spot, and I was trying to think about what to do there for both Atletico and for the weekend against Everton. So yeah, watch it tomorrow and let me know what you think of it. But I'm upbeat about it. Look, Everton are in better form this season, but I still think they're going to come, try to pin something on the counter, sit deep, defend, frustrate us, and do a Burnley or an Arsenal, you know, because that's what teams have tended to do. The only team that really had a go was Newcastle, and you know, that was a far more open game. But other teams this season, I think we're going to be facing this frustrating low block quite a bit, and I don't see anything different coming from Everton either. Dave said, Dalian is lovely, go on the boat trip down the river, and done it, Dave. We were over there last year, done it, and doing it again this year with Lucas. Yeah, we rented a boat for 3 hours, and we went down the river, like you said. Absolutely stunning, man. Absolutely stunning. Billy said, I've heard Turkey is brilliant. My uncle actually lives there, but I've never been. So I've been to a couple of different parts of Turkey. I've been to Istanbul, I've been to Kusadasi, and then I've been over to like Sarıgörm, that kind of neck of the woods. And I would say Sarıgörm, down around that area, is Sarıgörm, Dalian, Marmaris, all around there. Absolutely stunning. Really, really pretty. How do you dismantle a low block, said Rafa. Well, it's the age-old question, isn't it? There's a few ways. You can either put in crosses into the box and get on the end of them. You can have a moment of magic, or you can have a little bit of luck. They're really the three ways to have a go with a low block, because it's difficult when it's a condensed penalty area with 11, 12 men in there. 11, well, I suppose with between both sets of players, 18 odd players in the penalty area at one point. It's tough. And you've seen so many times that they give us the wide areas, and then we're ultimately putting in aimless crosses a lot of the time. So sometimes you need a set piece, bit of magic like the free kick, sometimes a deflected shot or something, and other times a bit of genius to unpick a lock. Liquid said, Wirtz will be huge, just needs time, and we have it. And we also have the player, which is most important as well, mate. And I agree, he's going to be brilliant. I've no doubts about it. I just, I wish Liverpool centric people, or people like Steve Nicol, who played for Liverpool, were just a little bit more chill and understanding about it. Eddie, I think the manager is scared of Mo, because if he wasn't, he would have benched him anyway to do it. I just don't think he's got the bottle. Well, on that, Eddie, I was reading a piece earlier on Sky, and it was talking about the game, but there was a couple of parts of it about Mohamed Salah that I wanted to highlight and read out tonight. And again, I want to say this isn't an attack on Mohamed Salah in any way, shape or form. It is just backing up the eye test that we've spoken about, because many of us feel we haven't seen the best of him yet. So a couple of things in this I think might be of interest to you. So it said, before his 95th minute intervention, Mohamed Salah was one of only 2 Liverpool players to play more than an hour and not have a shot. Even Jeremy Frimpong and Federico Chiesa managed one each, and they were late substitutes. Another interesting part of this, though, and probably the most damning stat, is Mohamed Salah lost 5 out of his 6 individual duels and was dispossessed more than any other player on the pitch. And when he did get into the rare chance to cause some damage in the second half, he blasted across straight out for a goal kick. That is the stat, Eddie, that stood out to me the most and worried me. That he lost 5 out of his 6 duels. Because we know Mo is a physical specimen. We know how strong he is. So why is he losing these duels? We know he gave away the ball quite a bit. We could see that every time he tried the 1-2s or to play his way into the box, it wasn't coming off. But that stat alarmed me when I read it earlier on. To lose 5 out of his 6 duels is very unlike the Mo that we all know and love. David, I just got my ticker for the show. Thank you, dude. I'm looking forward to meeting you. And I'm looking forward to the show and to also to get it out of the way so it's not playing in my mind anymore. But if you want to come and see us as well, our last ever live show is coming up now. We are just over a month away. The remaining tickets can be got with the QR code there on the screen. Hot Water Comedy Club, Liverpool, Sunday 19th of October. Myself, Chris, Steve, a musical act and a bit of fun on the night as well. If you'd like to come and see us, you know what to do. Right. Ollie said, I think he's at the point in his career where he'll start seasons not so great and then absolutely kill it. Ronaldo started doing it in his 30s. It's a tough one because I would have a memory of Mo usually starting seasons really well, and there are patches. Like Chris said something on the podcast yesterday that he's a bit of a streaky player, Mo, and I never really gave much thought to that. I never really thought about, does he do it in bunches? Does he have streaks? We know that he tends to fall off in the latter part of a season. Even going back through his Liverpool career, we've seen that. But usually he's really quick at the start of a season, really sharp. And physically, he looked great. He does. He looks really good physically. But, we're just not seeing... Look, he scored goals and he had an assist. But a penalty, it's a penalty. I don't know, maybe the bar has been set too high. But I've really wrestled with a few things on this because part of what we did this summer was to take away that pressure of having to rely so much on Mo. So to one extent, I don't really care because we're winning games of football. And winning games of football is the business that Liverpool are in. So whether Mo scores and assists or not, I don't really care as long as we win. Well, the same way I don't care if Wirtz scores, Isak scores, don't mind as long as the team wins. But when you have a conversation about a player and is he just played on reputation, I understand it. I understand why it is a subject at the minute and why Eddie asked that question as an example. Will the manager drop him? Again, we discussed exactly that in the podcast. I said, do you think we're ever going to get to that point where Arne will take Mo off or bench him? And I'm not sure, Eddie. I'm not sure. I don't think it's any cowardice from the manager. I really don't. I think we've seen enough from Arne to know that he's not afraid of making a bold decision if needs be. But I don't know if it's a respect thing. I don't know. But it can't go unpunished if it carries on. And punish isn't the right word. It can't go unnoticed if it carries on. Jeff said, despite ending up with 2 goals and an assist, although Dom should have had that, Mo has looked quite half-hearted for large periods of the game. Easily struggling with playing since Jota, lacking that focus. It's tough to know, isn't it? Of course, that's going to be a concern for all the players. And like I've said many times, they all process these things differently and take their own time to grieve. And there's also the fact that Mo said as well, he's getting used to new players, new movements, new relationships out there on the pitch. So all of that plays into the answer. Now, he's not the only one. That's really important here as well. So, has Maka had the best start to the season yet? No, he hasn't. Has Gakpo? No, he hasn't. So I'm not trying to have a go at Mo here, but Mo's the golden boy. He's the standard bearer at which we measure, or by which we measure everybody around him. So I guess the question I'm trying to figure out now is this teething problems with the team, getting to know each other? Because happy to talk about these things after wins. It's much easier than if we were losing. But, is it individual parts coming together and gelling that will make this better? Or is it going to be a couple of moments of brilliance from Mo that will get the form back in his veins or whatever? I guess I don't know. I would probably say it's just the teething issues at the minute. That I want it to be teething issues. That's probably a fairer way. David said, I think the internationals are catching up with most of the players. Look how many players are injured at different clubs. It's crazy with the injuries. And, the Club World Cup, thankfully for us, that wasn't a headache. But for others like Chelsea, Manchester City, it will be a problem. And international games, like I said as well, mate, all this flying around and changing of environments and climates, and it just can't be good for the wear and tear on their bodies. And when you've got players going over to Africa or South America or, anywhere, long distance, Japan, yeah, it has to take it out of them. And it has to mess with their well-being as well. So, difficult one. But look, we're talking here as fans about the greatest player in the Premier League era, maybe for Liverpool. And we hold him to such a high standard that, he's under scrutiny all the time. But it is reassuring to see that most of the people in the chat feel this is a temporary thing. Are there any people who do think it's father time? Because I got to be honest, I don't think it's father time with Mo. I think he looks in good physical shape. I'm putting it down to the Jota situation and the new players coming in. That's where my head's at with it. Paul said, Dave, spot on, mate, you're still doing it. But he's not, Paul. He's not, mate. Take away the penalty and the assist. And the assist wasn't really an assist. Context is needed in the conversation. Yes, he scored 2 and had the assist. But the assist was basically a step over from Dom. It was a sideways pass into the box and Dom stepped over it. And then the ball came to Rio. So, how much of an actual assist was that? It's not like he beat 2 men and fired a pinpoint cross into the box or something. And then the goals, well, one of them was a penalty. That, to be fair, anybody that stepped up to take it could have scored. So to say that he's still doing it, I also think is disingenuous because he isn't. Now, that's not to say he can't get back there, but I think if we're going to have the conversation, we need to be realistic about it and not just going off the old heartstrings. Ryan said, hi Craig, I'm never going to go in on new signings. It's clear experienced players like Gakpo and Salah have been poor, need them to improve massively. Yeah, I really do think, Ryan, it's to do with gelling together a lot of new players. Ironic considering we had a few conversations in the summer asking was there too much change, and I still don't think that there is, but I do think it's natural that these guys take time. So, the later the players come in as well in the window, the more difficult it will be. So we know Isak now is going to take probably a month to get fully back up to speed and used to it. Wirtz not only is moving to a new team, but a new league. So, like you said, Ryan, never going to go in on a new player there and expect a little bit more time for him to get to grips with it. But the old stalwarts need to start stepping up as well. The Salahs and the Gakpos and helping this situation. But I can't stop saying this because it's really important. We've won all our games. So it's really cool to be able to have these open, frank, honest conversations when we don't need to panic. You know, because there was an article again today to say, are Liverpool winning it late a sign of champions or papering over the cracks? And I honestly, with every fibre of my body, think it's a sign of champions and think it's their mentality to keep going to find a way. So yeah, I'm really on the point of thinking it's just a temporary thing where they're getting to know each other. Where was I? I've done Ryan's one. Here's 10 for the Turkish hair doctor. Thank you. Of all the things, Tomato, if I was to ever go get a hair transplant, ironically, I don't need one on my head. Like I've said before, I actually have, I won't say a full head of hair because like any man in his 40s, I'm sure it's thinned at the back. But if I could get a beard transplant too, I would be very happy. That would be the area that I'd actually like to get hair on my head because I can't grow a beard at 44. It's embarrassing. My son will be able to grow a beard before I will. But thank you, mate. Appreciate you. Jay Riddle said, when Virgil goes, how can we genuinely replace him? Well, I think we're having a similar conversation about Mo, aren't we? You know, will one person do it? And the answer is probably not in Virgil's case and probably not in Mo's case. There's huge excitement at Giovanni Leone's capture at the club and there's real high expectations for him. But you're right, it's going to be a huge void to fill, not just defensively, leadership, presence, aura. You know, because myself and Connor were thinking earlier on and having a chat around Giovanni Leone and Liverpool signing him. And the fact that we got an 18-year-old kid in Italy to come out of the Italian league, which, let's be honest, it doesn't happen that much. You know, young players in Italy leaving their home country to come across. So the fact that we've been able to tempt in Giovanni Leone to up sticks with his family and move from Italy over to the Prem, I think a huge part of that, yes, was the football club and the size of it. But I have to say, Virgil van Dijk, in my head, is probably the main reason why Giovanni Leone wanted to come over. I'm sure he knows Liverpool's a huge club, but it's his idol. He gets to train and work with Virgil. So just kind of adding into what you're saying, mate, about when he goes, he's a huge attraction to the club as well right now. So as well as what he gets on the pitch, you know, what he brings to the club and the aura around it, I think Virgil's a big part of that as well. Dave said he can't grow a beard as well. It's shocking, Dave, isn't it? It's shocking. The real Johnny Sin said, absolutely agree, Craig. You're spot on. His only actual goal involvement was his goal against Bournemouth. And look, that's okay. You know, he will get better, but I just think we can't just gloss over things and just throw numbers at it because numbers are part of an evaluation, but the eye test and some of the other underlying numbers are important as well. Virgil is that guy, Sharkovic. Yes, he really is that guy. Eddie said, there's nothing against Mo, but if that had been any other player like Darwin, they would have been criticised. Definitely. Look, I'm not trying to say you're wrong for questioning whether Arna will take him off or substitute him. I was even reading other pieces today that suggested that Ekitike was unlucky to be taken off and that Gakpo or Mo probably should have come off sooner, or in Mo's case should have been taken off full stop. So yeah, I don't think you're having a go at Mo. I think it's a valid question. Jimmy said, not sure we're close to signing up a Huijsen's one for the future. He's just signed for Real Madrid, mate. He's definitely not going to be coming to Liverpool now, Jimmy. Liverpool wanted him in the summer. We would have paid the release clause, but once Real Madrid came in and put their money down, and I understand it because now Dean Huijsen is now a Spanish international as well. Yeah, he moved over there, so won't be one for us, unfortunately, but it could have been. David said, we need competition for Mo. Hope Elise comes in. So, again, I've been thinking quite a bit about the Michael Elise stuff. Lots of links for him for 2 years away. But for me, ideally, I'd like him with Mo to have 1 year to go because I like the idea of transition, competition, and options. And I'm still not buying Chiesa as the option on the right side. I'm just not buying it yet. Because when he's been brought on, I think you guys can see this with your own eyes, he's bought in centrally. So when he came on for Ekitike again, it was central. And most of the time when he does come on, he is being utilised centrally. So I still don't think Mo has competition. And I don't think that that's healthy. In the same way, I don't think it's healthy that anybody doesn't have competition for their places. Zach said, if Slot was to have a bit of shithousery with a manager on the sidelines, it would be Simeone. Nobody can stand the fella. Yeah, I wonder. It's a good question. If Arne could have a little Barney with somebody on the sidelines, who would it be? I'm going to just stick to the Premier League for a second, Zach, because it's a really interesting question. What Premier League manager do I think Arne would be wound up by? Or... It's not Pep. I don't think it'd be Arteta. I don't even think it'd be Moyes. Not Thomas Frank. He's too likeable. I don't think Eddie Howe either, Paul. I think it's more Tyndall is the problem with Eddie Howe. Eddie Howe seems like a decent old skin, but Tyndall seems like the one that winds people up. Who would it be? It's not Iriola again. He seems like a decent old fella. Not Ange. I can't imagine it being Ange Postecoglou either. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I can't really think of one off the top of my head. Good talking point, though. Ryan said, now I look at it, we went from trying to push Haaland versus Nunes to Haaland to Isak. I think it's safe to say we're in much better shape. I was only thinking about that the other day, Ryan. Enzo Maresca. I like that answer, Billy. I like it. I think I agree with Billy. Enzo Maresca is probably the one for me. Yeah, because he can be a little bit cutting at times. I like that, Billy. I'm going with Billy Shear's answer there. Enzo Maresca for me. Hurtzler is another interesting one, Aaron, because I could see how maybe people would look at him as a little bit cocky on occasion. Yeah, some good shouts, though, good answers. Right, on that, Ryan, yeah, I was thinking about this earlier on, because I'm already starting to make the comparisons in my own mind, and we did that video the other night talking about the Golden Boot race as well. But like you said, mate, I do feel like this is probably a fairer one. Although, it just goes to say or show what high hopes we all had for Darwin when he did come in, because still to this day, he's not a Liverpool player, but you could see all the tools there. It's just a shame it couldn't be knitted together to come up with a consistent level of performances for us and the goals that we know he's capable of. Because again, on his day, with everything right in his mind, he's unplayable. He's just an absolute specimen, runs the channels, can hold it up, good aerially. He has all the tools, but I don't know, just still, it's always going to frustrate me that one didn't work out, because I can see why we rolled the dice, but yeah, unfortunate. Alex said, going to the game Wednesday with Isak green kit on. Nice. Enjoy it, Alex. Enjoy it, my friend. And good shout on the kit as well. I'm buzzing for it. I can't wait. I love the fact that we've got this game coming up so soon. You know, after having 2 weeks between games after the international break or during the international break, it feels great to say to Connor, can't believe I'm having to record the preview for Atletico already, and we're only after just gone through the Burnley game, so buzzing for it. And also Thursday night as well, it'll be an interesting tie at St James's Park, them against Barcelona. That's going to be a strange one. But yeah, buzzing. Love the Champions League. Stargirl, really good point here. Said Mo has lost Trent, 3 forwards. We've practically got a whole new forward line, including Wirtz. It's going to take some time. We're still winning. It's a really good point that you've made about Trent as well in that relationship. What do we think at right back for the Atletico Madrid game? You know, I was doing my preview earlier on, and I'm convinced it'll be Bradley. Maybe it's because I don't want Dom to just be shoehorned in there all the time, because he can do it, but I want Dom in midfield. So I think Bradley will start at right back and Mac will be on the bench because of that knock and maybe get 25-30. I don't think Frimpong. I don't think... Has Frimpong got 65, 70 minutes in him after coming back? He only got a handful of minutes the other day. It would be a big step up for him to then go and get 60, 65 minutes in the Champions League. My guess would be, and it is a guess of course, you might see 20, 25 for Frimpong, and then the Merseyside derby. Maybe Frimpong gets the nod for that one. Happy Craigo said, is it bad to say Elise fits slot system better than Mo? Do you know, I don't think I can answer that question. Because even though we've had Arna for a year, I'm still trying to figure out some of the intricacies of a system and who does what, when, and why. So build up as an example. You know, I understand why he wants us to keep moving the ball to try to find the perfect pass. But I was reading an article in the Echo earlier on, an opinion piece from John Aldridge, and Aldo was saying that whilst he understands what Arna's trying to do there, against a team like Burnley, that perfect pass isn't going to open up because there isn't the space for it. So are we just kind of being pedantic to keep the ball against a team like Burnley where moving it side to side isn't really going to drag them out of shape or suddenly open up space for it to be a more expansive game? So on that I'm still trying to figure out with Arna, because I get the gist behind it. I get the gist behind it, but it's, you know, we don't want to give away possession, don't want to lose the ball, but sometimes it just feels pointless, you know, just moving the ball side to side, side to side. In a game like Burnley, somebody like Rio on there, run at them, try to cause mayhem. I think that would be a far better way to find a way through it. Nomad said, Craig, where does this season's third shirt rank among our other third shirts in previous seasons? It's one of the higher ones for me. I love it, but I couldn't rank it for you. Yeah, because I can't remember which ones. I'm always getting mixed up between what's away, what's a third shirt, but I do like it. It's one of my favourites. So we asked, are you worried about the start that Florian Wirtz has had? We're going to let it go a little bit longer. We're almost heading towards 2,000 votes. If you haven't had your say, please do. Atletico play hard. Watch out injury. They do, but you know, we can't be worried by that. We're just going to have to go and do our thing. And look, it's football. It's going to be physical. It's going to be attritional. And sometimes you got to dig it out. And we know Liverpool are capable of doing that as well. Everton will be massive as this game last year. Diogo scored to win us the game. His last goal, emotional. It'll be a big game, but we can't go into it and let emotion lead our thinking. You know, it's a game, same as anyone else. They'll have to go through the usual tactics and just make it a game same as any other, as much as you can with a derby. IFI Must said, Craig, Wirtz is hardly unknown, and every game so far he's been closely marked. Hopefully when Isak gets going, space will appear for Wirtz. Yeah, that's a fair point as well. But we're a Liverpool Football Club, so most of our players are going to be worried about, as you said, when Isak's there, he'll be worrying defenders. When Salah's there, he'll be worrying defenders. Wirtz, he's worrying defenders. So, yeah, hopefully when everybody's available and we do have those assets all over the pitch to cause problems, yeah, maybe a bit more space and a bit less doubling, trebling up. Joseph said, Arna's system is about tempo change. Start slow and wait for optimal conditions to suddenly go fast and direct, overwhelming the opposition. I think that's a pretty good summary, Joseph. Yeah, fair play, mate. I think you've very well summarised it there. Because he even spoke about grinding and wearing teams down, and as they mentally and physically fatigue in the game, mistakes get made, chances start getting created. Just keep doing the right things, keep putting the pressure on them. But a lot of the games that we've played, a winner feels inevitable. right? So even against Newcastle, you always knew that we were going to create more chances. We were going to get that chance. Could we take it? Could we win the game? But against Burnley, I didn't feel that. It never felt like that chance was going to come or we were going to create it. I do think this game we did rely on a bit of luck to get the penalty. Billy said, I honestly get the feeling the next two games will shift more into gear and see some good performances from everyone. I see Salah performing good, not so sure, but I got a feeling. I'm probably deluding myself here, Billy, but I'm absolutely adamant we're going to see it on Wednesday. And again, I've no logical reason to sit here and say it, but I think it's going to click on Wednesday, and I think we're going to put in a performance that will make people sit up and take notice. You know, first big European night of the season, so fingers crossed. Craig, did you see Bruno Fernandes blaming Euro for the loss against City instead of taking blame on himself? Yes, Marco, I actually did. And I'm glad you brought that up because I was watching it last night on Match of the Day and they were doing a breakdown of Bruno not tracking. And he pointed at Euro, but you're right, it was his man. He didn't follow him. And that really, I found funny. So yes, normally I'd say I didn't notice these things, but I actually did notice that one. And I also noticed how weak Euro was in the Haaland goal, the one that Haaland flicked it past the keeper when he came out. Euro was rolled way too easily there for somebody who's supposed to be a centre-back, you know. It wouldn't happen to Virgil or Ibu. You know, I mean, he might have fouled one of them, Virgil or Ibu, but he wouldn't have got rolled that easily the way Haaland rolled any Euro. And for somebody who's supposed to be the next great thing at centre-back in Europe, and look, he is a talented kid, that would sound the alarm bells in my mind if I was a United fan seeing that. Good shout, though. I love it. I learned so much on here, honestly. I love it. I love chatting with you guys about this type of stuff because I love seeing something that challenges my own perception or a different viewpoint that maybe I hadn't considered before, because it starts to tie a lot of things together. So yeah, nice one for bringing that up, mate. And they're playing Bruno in the wrong position. I think that's pretty clear to everybody. Bruno is a 10. Bruno is an excellent 10. But trying to make him an 8 in the system for Amram is just wasting his talent. So I hope it goes on forever because obviously I want United to flounder and fail. But it's just mental to me how far United have fallen that they're almost like... Let me read this out. This will kind of make sense, I hope. So there was a story earlier on that said... It was from Mark Ogden. No, it wasn't actually this one. It wasn't Mark Ogden's one. It was a story, and I can't remember which one of the writers, maybe it was Samuel Lockhurst or one of them, that said there are people close to Ruben Amorim that are surprised that he's not under pressure. They're surprised that his job isn't on the line. And I get it. United are in this really horribly weird situation of, do you rinse and repeat and keep sacking managers not building at them? Or do you stick with this manager who is so rigid that he just will not change the principles of the way he wants that team to play because they don't look suited to it and the personnel don't look suited to it. So if somebody close to a new manager is saying, how are we not up shit creek here? How is my job not in trouble? I think it just speaks to how big of a mess United are in right now. And what is it going to take to fix that club? Can they do it? Because it doesn't look like Amarim's cut from the cloth to do it to me. Now, I'm not saying he's not a good coach, but it's still no identity to that team if you look at it. What the fuck is Manchester United's philosophy? What is the way that they play under Amarim? I know the way he wants them to play, but it still just feels like they're out there going through the motions and hoping for something to happen. Leroy said, we created 2 chances in the game about second half. I care zero about Man United, mate. Grand, Leroy. And in the spirit of full transparency, I care zero about what you think about me talking about Manchester United. So, There you go. We both win. I get where you're coming from, but if there's ever a chance to have a go at Manchester United and laugh at them, I'm taking it. And I'm never going to apologise for it. Because I grew up being absolutely terrorised by Manchester United fans. Everywhere I fucking turned, I was being met with, we're winning shit and you're doing nothing. So I'll keep joking at them and talking about them all I want. If you don't want to listen to it, no probs, dude. But, you know, that's low-hanging fruit and I'm here for it. Can United afford to sack Amram? Haven't got a clue. But I didn't think they could afford to spend 200 odd million quid on players this summer after sacking a load of people and crying poor mouth, but they found a way to do that. So I don't know. Right, we need 60 more votes till we get to 2,000 on this one. So the question is, are you worried about the start that Florian Wirtz has had at Liverpool? Cache Music said, absolutely agree with you on this one, Craig. Any chance we get to stick the boot into the Manx, we should do it. The gift that keeps on giving. Oh, definitely. I'm never going to apologise for that, mate. Never. And look, I would expect the exact opposite, the other way around. You know, if United got back on their perch in the next 10 years and Liverpool fell away a bit, I wouldn't respect my Manchester United supporting mates if they didn't give me stick over it. So yeah, I'm never going to apologise for it, mate. Every time that club shits the bed, I'm going to be here smirking and talking about it. You know, it feeds me, it gives me life, gives me energy. I love it. And actually, Mark Ogden, on that, did say United are set to reveal the full extent of their financial troubles on Wednesday as they publish their official annual accounts. This comes 6 months after minority owner Jim Ratcliffe said they risked running out of money before the end of 2025. So, how could they go from risking running out of money to spending 200 million quid in the summer on 3 forwards and then a goalkeeper? So much about that club just makes no sense. And then they're talking about this 2 billion Wembley of the North stadium. Leroy said, me too, mate. I didn't say I didn't want to hear it. It's your show, out of respect. Oh, dude, I'm just having a bit of banter with you, Leroy. All good, my man. All good. You weren't rude, dude, whatsoever. So I certainly didn't want to come across as being rude back to you. But it's the one thing you're never going to get me to apologise for, my friend. I love bantering United because, like I said, I was terrorised growing up by them. Terrorised. Michael said, we don't talk about this at all now, but does everybody remember there was genuine excitement that Amram may have become our next manager? Definitely. Oh, yeah. And I was excited by it because I think I got into a pattern of thinking that we'd looked at Alonso and maybe run the rule over him. So I think I got into my own head thinking about that back 3, back 5 kind of type manager. But this is why you and I and everybody else are here sitting talking about football, and Michael Edwards and Richard Hughes are out there picking managers because they were spot on. You know, they brought in a manager that would have his own philosophy but wouldn't need wholesale changes to the way the club play. And that was key because you've seen the transition that United are going through and that other clubs have gone through when they don't have the personnel to play it. But this is why the work done by Julian Ward, Richard Hughes, Michael Edwards, the whole recruitment team, that's why they get paid the big bucks, because they make the right choice. And Arne Slot probably wasn't the sexiest name out there in world football that they could have gone for. You know, the hipster's choice would have definitely been Ruben Amorim, or Alonso, obviously, with the heartstrings as well. But they knew what they were doing, and they brought in the right man. And I'm eternally grateful that they're doing that job and not me. JCF 102 said, I was hoping we got Amram over Slot. I don't think you're on your own, mate, and I don't think it's embarrassing to say that. Ruben Amram was really highly thought of, and it made sense, you know. We know we were looking at him. We know he tried to call the bluff by coming over to have the West Ham interview. But one thing that's really come clear to me is just the actual difference. We talk about it enough, but the real difference between the Portuguese League and the Premier League. whether it be from a coaching perspective or a playing perspective. Everybody keeps talking about the numbers Gyökeres did at Lisbon. And of course he did it for a long time, or longer period maybe than Darwin did. But I'm still not expecting him to be anywhere near the success that some Arsenal fans and some of the media are making out to be. Because I don't think he's as good as they think he is. That's why I was so clear and adamant I never wanted him at Liverpool. Never. We had to learn that lesson. And I do think Victor Gyökeres will be more of a success at Arsenal than Darwin was at Liverpool. I do. But I still am glad that he's the one that they got. Because if they had have signed Isak, I'm not going to lie, folks, I'd be shitting myself right now if Arsenal signed Isak. But they didn't. And we did. So for them to try to make out like they're not worried about it when we've already won the league, and then gone and brought in Isak, and then brought in Ekitike and Wirtz, that's why we're sitting pretty right now and quite confident of the season ahead. Baz Boy said, I think we've got better players than United, so probably could have pulled off Amram's system, but so glad we dodged that bullet. Yeah, I think there's some good sense in what you've said there, mate, but still would have seen probably a few more centre-backs needed to be brought in. Lynn, Naturalist, your scarves came today. They actually arrived, so I'm going to ship that out to you in the next couple of days. So I will have, is there anything else you'd like? Just let me know, by the way, but I have the gold badge for you, for your jersey, and I have the Diogo Jota scarf. So they will be sent over to you in the next couple of days. They only actually got in today, so just wanted to let you know what I seen your name on. Anyway, you said Amram is so good at PR, so he appears good. The difference is slot is more substance over style. Yes, he's another media darling, Amram, because he gives them content. And he's honest. And managers probably can't afford to be honest these days. But Amram is, to a fault. Same with Ange Postecoglou. And it's good for the media. Gives great headlines, and especially at a club like United, you're never going to be short of articles to write. But yeah, Arne is more self-assured, and I don't think needs to play that game. Jays, Mighty Red Army, said, why do most YouTubers hate Liverpool? What have we done to them? So, this is a genuine answer, mate. I don't watch much content on YouTube, so I really don't know who does or doesn't hate us. But what I will say is, it does feel like there's a different energy towards us a lot of the time. I remember Arsenal fans siding with City in a lot of stuff, and you're like, they're the cheating fucks. They're the ones that have 130 charges against them, and somehow everyone wants us to fail. And this whole anti-Liverpool thing, I don't know. I've never ever understood it. I'm not from the UK, so I don't know if it is a geographical thing or whatever, but I think Liverpool are a club that should be well thought of by everyone, because we're a damn good club that does things in the right way. So maybe sometimes a mixture of fear. But the one that really got me, Jay, the one that really, really, really boiled my blood and still to this day pisses me off is the COVID null and void title nonsense. That was sour grapes of the highest order from AFTV and everybody else that was going down that route. Karen Brady at West Ham, all of them, absolute self-serving hypocrites. Oh, let's cancel the league. Oh, it doesn't count. Why? Because you're not winning it. If you were winning it, it would count dickheads, wouldn't it? But you're not winning it. Let's null and void the league and sure, ha ha ha, let's all laugh at Liverpool just to stop Liverpool winning the title. That to this day, that still boils my blood, and that's where Newlawn came from, that whole era. But yeah, I'm never going to forget that. Never going to forget seeing those arrogant, cocky arseholes sitting on all of their channels talking about Liverpool and belittling it and saying it's not a real title and everything else, whereas if they were winning it, completely different scenario. It was just an anti-Liverpool sentiment and I hated it. Right, so 76% of the over 2,100 people that voted said they aren't worried about Florian Wirtz, and thank you to everyone that took the time to vote. I would be in the same camp. LFC Spectre said, we're the most successful club in the land. They're all jealous because they wish they can be us. Look, we are, and I love it, but I don't know. I just don't get it. You know, Liverpool, like, it's not like Liverpool are a club that shafts other clubs or goes out of their way to do snidey things. Like, I keep coming back to this Manchester City conversation, but they're the ones that have potentially spat in the face of every other club in the league. They're the ones that have potentially undermined the integrity of all of the competitions, and yet you've got other fans defending them and wanting them to do well over us. The team that are actually doing things in the right way. Baffles me. Bashing Liverpool gets clicks, said Aaron. Yep. And you know they're always only one or two sentences away from getting to what they want to say out loud. And you know where I'm going with this, right? You can see it in their eyes when they're talking. They want to say it. They're only one or two fucking sentences away from getting out what they really want to say deep down, but they know they can't because they're going to get in trouble. And it's the whole, always the, yeah, you can see it in their eyes when they're saying it. They're biting their tongues because they want to come out and say what they'd say if they were sitting there with their mates. Daniel said, how do I see Atletico? I think we're getting them at the right time. It's never easy when you play Atletico Madrid. They're going to be well organised. They're going to fight for everything. They're going to play act. They're going to run down the clocks. They're going to roll around. But I don't know. Like I said at the start of the stream, there's something in me that just feels really confident going into this game. And we haven't seen anywhere close to a complete performance yet this season from Liverpool in the 4/5 games, if you want to talk with the Community Shield. And something in me feels like it's going to click. It mightn't click for the entire 90 minutes, but I think there will be a period of 25, 30, 35 minutes where we just steamroll them and the game's gone. And, you know, we used to do at times under Jurgen. We'd have a 25, 30-minute spell where we'd blow anyone away. Couldn't live with us. It was chaos. And I think I just have a feeling we'll see something on Wednesday. Joseph said, the thing is, people like to disregard our title because of COVID, but we literally pissed the league by December. Yeah, you're spot on. Absolutely, mate. That league was done and dusted by Christmas. 100%. But, like I said, it comes from... It's the lack of sporting integrity from some of these people that makes me annoyed. Like, how many times have you guys heard me moan about Arsenal fans? A lot, probably. But also, how many times have you heard me say, if Arsenal beat us to a league title, I will be the first person on here to congratulate them because their club has done it in the right way. And it's a sporting win. And fair play, that's what sport's about. I don't see that from a lot of other clubs' fan bases. I get it from Lee Gunner because he's a top lad and some others, but so many times it's just like, you're just hating on us for hating on us. Like, it makes no sense. But also, fuck them. And I mean that sincerely. Funny how Arsenal fans call our COVID title at the last trophy was an FA Cup that same season. Yeah, with Unai Emery's team. And the only trophy that Mikel Arteta has won in his time there after spending, I don't know, £1 billion or whatever he spent. Paul said that'll be lovely to see. Cannot be Champions League nights at Anfield. Yeah, and I just think everyone's senses will be heightened, right? So you'll have the buzz around the stadium because you have Isak probably in that squad for the first time. So you'll have the sense of excitement inside Anfield from the fans to see Isak. Then you're going to have Mo thinking, yeah, Champions League, baby. The lights are on. The anthem's playing. This is where Mohamed Salah becomes Mohamed Salah. Wirtz is going to be thinking, yeah, this is it. Europe's watching. This is my big bow here on the European stage for Liverpool. It feels like the making of a really good European night at Anfield, and I hope I'm not setting myself up for a failure here, but I'm really, really optimistic for it. Not true. Frimpong is Mo's competition. Is he? Respectfully disagree. Cover, perhaps. An option, maybe. But competition? I don't see it. because there's none of us here think that Jeremy Frimpong could do numbers anywhere near what Mo could do. And to be someone's competition, we'd have to feel like they're capable of at least doing the same type of things. And I don't see Frimpong doing that. So I would respectfully disagree on him being the competition, or excuse me, being the alternative, but, you know, he's an option. Right, so Scott Parker had lost 0 games at Turf Moor since he became Burnley manager in July 2024. That was until he faced Liverpool yesterday. And he lost. And it was so funny to see him speaking like it was some type of heroic, backs to the wall, aren't we great guys, gee, golly gosh, what about us? It was anti-football nonsense. And I hate it. I get like clubs like Burnley are limited in what they can do. I understand that. But to praise a team for just doing the hard yards of boring, shitty defensive work, I don't know, I hate it. It's just anti-football. Like, what are you trying to do there with Burnley? You're not going to stay up by trying to scrappy grab a draw against Liverpool. Like, I don't know, it just feels turgid and I don't know, just I get it. Like if you opened up against us, you'd probably get spanked, but I don't know. It's just not great to watch, is it? It's not great to look at as a spectacle. Ollie said, didn't he say something like most people will never experience something so difficult in their lives? Maybe he did, Ollie. I don't know, but look, they defended well, but that was it. Their goal in that game was a 0-0 draw. They had 0 attacking intent. They didn't even try to counter us. Like, it was nothing. Not one shot on target. I think one of the only shots I can remember actually came in the first 3 or 4 minutes, where they had a shot that went over Alisson's crossbar. But they gave nothing. Like, when you played in the day against a team, you thought, all right, maybe they'll do something. You play against the likes of a Nottingham Forest. You know that they're going to soak it up. But like that, they've got, back then, the likes of Anthony Elanga or whoever, who could catch you on a counter with that blistering pace. But with Burnley, it was like they did all the defending part of it, but without any of the counter-attacking intent. NFC Spectre said, Scott Parker giving out his William Wallace speech and how proud he was, the anti-football against Liverpool, yet they lost the battle. Yeah, I just, I don't know. Is that any type of coaching? You know, well done, lads, sit tight, throw your bodies on the line and block. I mean, I get it, needs must and all that, but this was a league game, not an FA Cup tie where you're trying to force your way through to the next round by getting into penalties or something. It was just like they were on a hiding to nothing. The peak for them was going to be a 0-0 draw. That was the extent of the ambition. Adam said, just watched La Liga game that was on TV, so much better than the Prem, Craig. Look, I love La Liga. It's the second league I watch, but I wouldn't go as far as to say it's better than the Prem. For me, I love the physicality of the Premier League. I love the pace of the Premier League. And I used to say maybe Spain would be a more technical league, but I think England has caught up on that as well, to be fair. So for me, Prem's the best in the world. But La Liga would be the one I'd watch second, definitely. I'm cheering on Elche this season. Obviously went over there last year for a game, met up with Lee Gunner, and they're so far unbeaten in La Liga. I think they've had 2 wins, 2 draws, or something like that in their opening few games, or 2 wins or 2 draws and a win or something. But yeah, there's just more time in La Liga, I think, on the ball. There's less pressing, and it can be a little bit technical on occasion, but still, to me, Prem's the best league. Sean said, I never understood the idea how Burnley deserved to draw when they had 11 men parked in a box. If Arna could do that with us, draw every game. Exactly. Look, there's an art to defending, of course there is. And there's something heroic about digging in. But what was the outcome going to be? Like I said, the best case scenario was ever going to be a draw there. It's not like it was a cup game where you could have dragged us to penalties and beaten us and knocked us out. It was like the very, very best of our ambitions here is to try and frustrate them enough to scrape a draw at home in front of season ticket holders who paid their money to watch this team. I wouldn't want it. I wouldn't. Now, look, I get it. There are many teams that come up and try to stick to their own philosophy. Southamptons of this world come up and try to play open, expansive football. But you can have a mix, a measure of it. There was just nothing in that Burnley performance that suggested they had any intent to try and score. Jason said, any more news on City's and Chelsea charges? Nothing new on either of them. No. We're all just waiting for the ruling on the Manchester City stuff. You know, the case has been heard. Chelsea, it looks like it's going to be a fine, but like I said, they're very different circumstances. Nothing I can add to, unfortunately. Fred said, hi Craig, I was discussing with some friends, telling them to relax a bit on Mo because he surely can't bring his best out. He's readapting to new colleagues and he'll surely understand them. Yeah, look, it's going to take a bit of time and he's not the only one, Fred. I think, he's the headline grabber because last season 52%, something like that, of our goals had Mohamed Salah's DNA on them, whether it was a goal or an assist. But I'd also like to re-emphasise that part of the business this summer, bringing in Isak, Ekitike, Wirtz and others, was to spread the load around and take some of the pressure off Mo or some of the burden that if Mo doesn't do it, where's it going to come from? So yeah, it's on everybody, but we haven't clicked just yet. And innocent until proven guilty is the legal definition. But they've already been charged. They've already been found guilty. This is a hearing to appeal what they've already been found of. So no. It's not innocent until proven guilty. It's you're guilty. Now prove that you're innocent because we've charged you. So it's not that's such a fucking lazy comment that people throw around and it does my head in. Innocent until proven guilty. No, sorry. Not when there is an abundance of clear evidence there of what you've done. Not having the innocent until proven guilty bullshit. Innocent until proven guilty. No, I'm not having it because they've been charged. Like I said, this is an appeal and a hearing after they've been charged. So the Premier League have looked at the evidence and charged them based off their own rules. So yeah, sorry, not having that one. And this isn't, this isn't somebody's freedom we're talking about. Like, this isn't me being charged with a murder that I didn't do and I'm sitting in prison waiting to have my day in court or whatever, this is very different. This is Manchester City still going about their business, still generating loads of money, still playing football every week, week in and week out, and still having 7 years of this shit that the rest of us have had to sit back and wait for. 7 years of it. 7 years of not knowing if everything that we've been denied because of them is legitimate or if they were bending the rules, breaking the rules. It cuts deep with me because it cuts to the heart of sporting integrity. And, there's 20 stakeholders in the Premier League. And if you've got one club that are in there trying to just blow it up and be absolute shithouses because they don't like rules, I've no time for that. I've no sympathy for it. Right, let's move back. What's this one that he sent me? Right, so Ugo Ekitike, speaking to BBC Match of the Day, said, it's just so nice for the manager to have all these options. They're probably going to play over 60 games season. Sorry, I'm apologising. I seen a picture of it. Ekitike thought it was him. It's Danny Murphy saying this. Sorry, that's my bad. I should have pre-read this before I read it out. So Danny Murphy on Match of the Day said, it's so nice for the manager to have all these options. There's probably going to be over 60 games this season. And I agree with Danny Murphy on that one. There is a lot of options for Arna this season. And I don't know. I'm expecting a big season this year. I think it could be one we're going to remember for a very, very, very long time. Alisson Becker, of all people, has given a bit of an update on Alexis McAllister's fitness. Wasn't expecting to get it from the goalkeeper, but he said he's a very strong man. Nothing wrong with him. He was just in a bit of pain. I think he's fine, which is good news. Did anybody hear Arna say whether that was a preordained substitution, the Alexis McAllister one? Because obviously it was done at half time, which was clever because it meant we didn't lose a substitution block or one of the three that we were able to make. But was it because like he played on after the tackle and the injury, so that's why I was confused at the half time change. But if I was wondering if anybody's heard if it was a preordained change from the manager or if it was in reaction to the knock he picked up. What do we think of this, by the way? Well, we're talking about Manchester City. This report from Fakahe said that Al Nassr in the Saudi Pro League will table a record-shattering bid worth £112 million for Phil Foden ahead of the Saudi Pro League transfer window deadline day on the 23rd of September. If that deal went through, it would make Phil Foden the most expensive Englishman of all time. Surely there's no way that happens. Because one, I can't see Phil Foden wanting to pack up, leave Manchester City and head over to Saudi Arabia. I can't see City's owners wanting to have Saudi Arabia team taking their Abu Dhabi star and shifting them into that league. And I can't imagine that Pep Guardiola is going to want to lose him. So nothing about that feels like it's going to happen to me. But weirdly, I was only thinking about the other day, is there going to be any of these massive offers before the end of the Saudi Pro League? Because Premier League clubs now can't replace anybody. So, you know, Saudi Pro League window open until the 23rd of September. But if they do come into any Premier League club and take anyone, there's no replacement until January. Adam said, did I see Ricky Hatton died? Yes, yeah, we spoke about it yesterday, mate. So sad. Like, there's nothing I can say about Ricky that hasn't already been said. He is the most likeable boxer I think I can ever remember of my lifetime. He's the most well-supported fighter I can ever remember of my lifetime. And I don't know a single person that has ever had anything bad to say about him. It's heartbreaking, soul-destroying. It's a huge loss to the whole boxing world, to his family, of course. And I think all of us that are old enough remember those nights. The Floyd Mayweather fight, the Manny Pacquiao fight, Las Vegas not knowing what hit it when Ricky Hatton's fans came over with their music and their singing and there's only one Ricky Hatton. He was just a force of nature. And, you know, I'm old enough to remember that Costa Zoo fight at the MEN at ridiculous o'clock in the morning to make sure that it was available for the peak market in America. And Ricky did what nobody thought he was going to be able to do, which is beat the guy in that division. It was an honour to watch that man ply his trade and do what he did. He was just a real working class hero, wasn't he? So sad. When are you getting your new camera? We have it. It's going to be put in and ready to go for the game on Wednesday. So yeah, should have the new camera all set up for the watch along for Atletico Madrid on Wednesday. Still remember the pub lock-in watching that Mayweather fight, said Paolo. It was something so special, wasn't it? Even the build-up to it, I loved it. You had Mayweather wearing the United shirt at the time, Hatton obviously in his Manchester City shirt. Somebody's always got to go. It was just a really special time, and Ricky Hatton was just a special person. A bit early, but what are your score predictions for the Atletico Madrid game on Wednesday? So I'll give you mine. I want you to watch the preview tomorrow, but I'll give it to you. I'm going 3-0. And normally I'd be going 1-0, 2-1, something like that. But like I said, I'm feeling really confident for this game for some reason. And I think Liverpool are gonna put one over on Atletico Madrid. So yeah, I'm going 3-0. Alvarez out for Wednesday. Didn't even travel with the squad. Well, would they have travelled yet? Surely they wouldn't have travelled yet. They'd be travelling over tomorrow, surely, for that one. But look, either way, no Alvarez will be a benefit to us, definitely. Kyle said, Ricky versus Joe was my childhood. What a rivalry between England and Wales. Best. It was just a great time in boxing. It really was. And Ricky Hatton was a proper working class hero. Does Isak play on Wednesday? I don't think he starts, but I do think we'll see him from the bench. Arne said he should be able to do 45 either Wednesday or Saturday. He would have had a full week's training, and I just think under the lights, Champions League, yeah, I think we'll see Isak get some minutes, and I think it'll send just a shiver to Anfield. I think the atmosphere is going to be incredible. Anyone that's going to the game, enjoy it, because I think it's going to be a special night, and you're going to get to see the man in the flesh for the first time. How many minutes do you think he plays? Stephen, it could be dependent on how the game goes. Like, there will be a maximum that he'll be able to play. But, is he coming on to try and find a goal to change the game? Is he coming on when we're a goal or two up or down? So I think that may play into it. But I would expect no more than 30 would be my guess. So I'd probably expect him to come on about 65 and then have whatever 25 plus whatever the added on time is. So yeah, something like that. Bazboy said Isak should play some minutes on Wednesday. Cannot wait to see him in a Liverpool shirt. Yeah, we just haven't got to enjoy that signing yet. Even when he signed, he was straight off with the Swedish national team, and all the days afterwards were taken up with articles written by journalists about what Isak did to get the move, and it never felt like we had the chance to really enjoy that signing. A British record transfer fee, a new number 9 at the club. There's been a lot of negativity around it in the media, and now it's time for us Liverpool fans to enjoy the fruits of the club's labour and see this guy in the flesh. Was Isak at the Burnley game? No, he stayed back and trained, Jason. They didn't take him down. And the manager felt it would be better for him to continue to have a couple more training sessions, which makes sense. Adam said, I reckon Forest could get relegation this season with Big Ange. It's one of the few times I've seen such a swing in the type of manager someone's brought in. So you had Nuno, who was obviously very good, very adept at counter-attacking football. And then you've got Ange Postecoglou, who loves a high line and loves attacking. And it's, I think it's a crazy move by the owner of Forest. I just think it's too far in the other direction, but it'll be interesting. Rachel said, I'm going to the game on Saturday as well as Southampton game. Nice. That Southampton game is going to be really interesting, Rachel. I can't wait to see Leone and see what other youngsters. I'm sure Rio will get the start in that one as well. Yeah, I can't wait. So much excitement for a League Cup game. Hey Craig, predict the goal scorers for the preview against Atletico because you forgot to do it against Burnley. Oh, I forgot to do it again, Khalid. Yeah, I forgot to do it again. I'm going to have to just make it part of my process when I'm doing it, Khalid. So apologies. I'll do it for you now, dude, because you did send the super chat and I did say it was a good idea. Right, so I'm going to go Mohamed Salah, Florian Wirtz and Virgil van Dijk. So that's my 3 for the game because I'm going 3-0. So a Van Dijk header, Mohamed Salah left-footed strike, and a Florian Wirtz, I'm going to say 1-2, and then he pokes the ball home. So they're my 3. But yeah, I need to make that part of the video. Hey Craig, what an evening. Show now, NFL at 12. Yeah, I'll be watching the NFL, definitely. Right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to say goodnight to you. And again, tomorrow, we will be back. Same old. If you get a chance, a couple of things. Do check out the Anfield Agenda podcast. It is up on both Spotify and on YouTube. The latest episode was myself, Chris and Connor. We discussed the Burnley game and we looked ahead to Atletico. I'll be back tomorrow. I'll have a news update video coming out for you in the next 20 minutes or so. The preview is coming out tomorrow morning for the Atletico game. I'll see you guys tomorrow night for the late night agenda. Until then, really enjoyed tonight's stream. Thank you so much for dropping in and joining me. And we'll see you tomorrow. Much love. Bye-bye.